Israel must form a government within the next 5 days or go to new elections. Prime Minister Netanyahu has said he is willing to hold the prime minister's post for 6 months and then surrender it to Benny Gantz for the next 2 years. Whatever happens in the next 5 days is sure to have prophetic implications for Israel and for the world. Well, to say that it's been an interesting week is an understatement. I mean, things are just merging together on every side, all the way from a mutual defense pact between the United States and Israel. That's not yet a done deal. However, it looks like it's well on the way. Prime Minister Netanyahu met with Secretary of State Pompeo yesterday, and they both are pushing for this defense pact. Now, what does that mean? Well, it simply means that if Israel is attacked, that the United States will come to her aid. Now, if you play that out all along the way, that means at the Battle of Armageddon, if in fact this is adopted at the Battle of Armageddon, America would be obligated to fight on the side of Israel. Now, I can't totally wrap my mind around the prophetic implications of all of that, except to know that the Bible does prophesy that America will defend Israel all during the final 3.5 years immediately preceding the Battle of Armageddon. Such interesting times. Now, before we open up our lines for your calls, I do want to say to all of you, you might know by now it is Christmas season. Let me tell you the ultimate Christmas list, the ultimate Christmas gift, I should say, because 2,000 years ago, there was a special book placed in the Bible designed for now. This special book was not understood until now. It's the book of Revelation. Endtime Ministries has just released volume 1 of our commentary, Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ. Now, the reason we call it the unveiling of Jesus Christ is because the word revelation comes from the original word apocalypsis, which means the revealing or the unveiling. The book of Revelation is really 4 accounts of the unveiling of Jesus Christ to the world at his second coming. There are 4 accounts of the second coming in the book of Revelation. The first account tells the story from one angle, ultimately ending with the second coming. Then it starts over and tells a whole different set of events, but in the end, culminating in the second coming. Then the narrative starts over again, and from a totally different perspective and a totally different set of facts, it talks about events that will precede the second coming, culminating once again with the second coming. And then, believe it or not, it starts over again, telling a whole different set of events and culminating with the second coming. So the book of Revelation is really the unveiling of Jesus Christ at his second coming. And apparently God was so anxious that we would really get it, that he didn't tell us once or twice or 3 times, but 4 different times with incredible detail, 22 chapters, this famous last book in the Bible. Now, you may be thinking, but I can't understand the book of Revelation. Oh, yes, you can. All you have to do is obtain our brand new commentary, 10 animated DVDs, nothing like it ever produced in the world, with an accompanying hardback book. I wrote it myself, complete with illustrations. I think you're going to love it. The ultimate Christmas gift. Now, you can receive that by going to endtime.com, or you can call us right now. The number to call, 1-800-ENDTIME, 1-800-363-8463. Also, in case you would like to add another gift related to this, but totally different, and that is our Jerusalem Prophecy College. Perhaps you have a teenager or a college student or a husband or a wife that would love to have the Jerusalem Prophecy College curriculum at their fingertips. Now, you could either purchase one semester, 6 semesters, there's a total of 11 semesters, or the whole thing. And let me tell you, I don't know of any gift that would be more appropriate than right now, because here we are right on the brink of the beginning of the final 7 years, and a person that goes through the Jerusalem Prophecy College will have a full and complete understanding. So maybe it could be a family gift. Maybe it could be a husband and wife gift together. If you're interested, go to JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. Register, enroll in your first course. Well, this is your day, so you can start dialing right now. The number to call to be on the air with me, 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. There's so many things up in the air right now. I'm sure we're going to have plenty to talk about today. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
About our trip, it was a wonderful experience. We totally enjoyed the time spent with other believers, worshiping and experiencing the places where Christ walked. One of our favorites was being on Mount Moriah, where the Holy of Holies are, the Dome of the Spirit. And the teachings that Brother Baxter did was so enlightening. It was so much to take in. It will take us another month or two to really grasp the full extent of the knowledge we received on this trip. Our tour guide in Israel was fantastic. He was very knowledgeable. I think God chose him just for us. Thanks, Jana. Our lives will never be the same. We will try to do this tour again. Mike and Julie L., Cayman Islands.
Join us May 1st through May 16th, 2020, for a trip to the wonderful land of Israel and the Holy Roman Empire reborn.
We've seen Bible prophecy fulfilled like never before. From the halls of the United Nations to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Endtime Ministries continues to reveal the Bible prophecy in the news headlines around the world every day. Whether it's through our broadcast or online at our Jerusalem Prophecy College, your gifts enable us to put vital materials in the hands of those who need it most. Because of you, we continue to replace fear with faith in the hearts of Christians around the world. We will continue to see prophecy come to pass at an even swifter pace. We need your support. Your donation of any amount enables us to continue to broadcast and be a voice in the ever-growing censored media. To become a partner or give a one-time gift, visit endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now. That's 800-363-8463. Go online now. Visit endtime.com.
Oh, by the way, that trip coming up to Israel and to Europe is just absolutely loaded with prophetic understanding. We don't get to go in depth sometimes with these things when we're in Israel, some of the things that's going to happen in Europe. But the Bible prophesies that the Antichrist and his religious partner, the false prophet, will both be from Europe. We're going to explain to you during the Holy Roman Empire portion of our trip how you can understand all of these things. Even what is the Holy Roman Empire? The average person doesn't even know the difference between the Roman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire. Well, we will take you and you will actually see the pictures of every emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. I'm talking about one huge hall dedicated to all the emperors of the Holy Roman Empire. However, there's got to be at least one more emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. he will be the man we call the Antichrist. You'll understand all these things and a whole lot more. You'll actually go to the gravesite of the father of the Holy Roman Empire, Charlemagne, and you will actually go into the cathedral that he built in 800 AD, the year the Holy Roman Empire was officially born. That's when Pope Leo III put the crown on the head of Charlemagne, saying, now crown you Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. So let me tell you, if you want a trip absolutely loaded with prophetic understanding, as well as walking in the footsteps of Jesus, his disciples, the prophets of old in Israel, well, I just can't tell you enough. If you have ever wanted to go to Israel, this would be an ultimate trip of a lifetime. So give us a call right now. The number to call, 1-800-Endtime. We'll send you an explanatory packet. You can see the whole thing. Our people here are so good. They'll answer all your questions. And I'd look forward to being with you. Judy and I will be with you every step of the way. We'll be with you next May 1 through May the 16th. It's going to be a marvelous trip. Well, let's get to the phones. And this is your day, so let's go immediately to Eugene. Eugene is calling from New York. Hello, Eugene.
Hello, Mr. Baxter. How are we doing today?
I'm doing terrific. Thank you.
Great. Can you please explain wormwood remain?
Okay, say it again, Eugene.
Can you explain the prophecy of wormwood?
Yes, I sure can. The prophecy about wormwood is the sounding of the third trumpet in Revelation chapter number 8. And it says there that a star by the name of wormwood would fall from the sky and would result in the killing of many, many men. It would contaminate the waters. Well, on April the 26th of 1986, there was a horrible nuclear accident in the Ukraine. There's a lot of news right now about the Ukraine. Well, this is not related to that, but there was a horrible accident there. The nuclear reactor at a place called Chernobyl, it exploded. Now, the word wormwood is the word for Chernobyl in Ukrainian. If you looked up the word wormwood, it may say Cherbolnik or something like that. Nevertheless, this is a prophecy that it would be a horrible event. Well, Chernobyl has released more nuclear radiation, 10 times as much as that which was released at Hiroshima during World War II. It's the world's worst nuclear accident, and the name of it is wormwood. If you were reading a Ukrainian Bible, it would say a star fell to the earth by the name of Chernobyl. Well, that in fact happened. The result was that the explosion blasted radioactivity, cesium-137, into the air. It was then blown by the winds toward Europe. It rained incessantly for the next 5 days, filling the rivers of Europe with contaminated water. Anybody that drank those waters ingested cesium-137 into their bloodstream. It goes into your bone marrow. It affects your thyroid. It gives people cancer. And the results of wormwood are yet to be understood. Nevertheless, that was a prophecy that there would be a horrible event on the earth, and it did happen on April the 26th of 1986. Does that help any, Eugene?
Yes, it did. Well, the reason I'm asking is because I did a talk show on Coast to Coast where a guy is talking about wormwood. He said it's a comet that's going to hit Earth in 2029.
No, that's not true whatsoever, because the event wormwood has already been fulfilled on April the 26th of 1986. And then the next sounding of the trumpet occurred in 1991. So it's an event already past. I'm not sure what the person on Coast to Coast was speaking of, but as far as the prophecy of the fourth trumpet, the third trumpet, that's already passed.
Okay, that is pleasant. Thank you, Mr. Baxter.
Okay, and thank you, Eugene. Let's go now to James, calling from right here in Texas. Hello, James.
Hello, Irvin. I don't know if you remember this, but a while back I was telling you about how there was 1/3 of the grass burned up, or 1/3 of the trees, I say, it says. And it says 1/3 of the sun and the moon and everything was darkened, And then 1/3 of the angels of heaven were bad, and they were kicked out of heaven, taken out of heaven. Anyway, and then I said, if you take 1,000 years is like a day to the Lord, and one day is like 1,000 years, that kind of thing, And I said, you take 1,000 and you take 1/3 of that, and you end up with 666. I don't know if you remember that. But anyway, it's interesting that the Lord woke me up the other morning, and if you actually take a calculator, or if you do it just by math with a pen and pencil, you take 1,000, and you take minus 666. You don't end up with 333. You end up with 334, which is, believe it or not, you go to Daniel, Revelation, in book of Daniel, and you go to chapter 4, verse 33. That's where it tells you where this beast like an oxen becomes this eagle. And this eagle, like I said, if you go to Google, Arnold's name means eagle power. Yeah, it comes right up with the verse and chapter in Daniel.
Well,
Amazing.
that is amazing. Well, thank you for the information, James. We'll have to look into that closer. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. Let's move now to Virginia. David is calling from Virginia. Hello, David.
Hey, Pastor Baxter, it's an honor to talk to the president of Jerusalem Apostolic College.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I was thinking about, and it says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 that it's not going to take us as a thief, the coming of the Lord.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that when they get ready to, the United Nations is going to are getting ready to invade Jerusalem to give it back to the Palestinians. I think it's going to probably be in the internet news and in the Jerusalem Post and a bunch of newspapers saying that we're going to go ahead and take Jerusalem and give it back to the Palestinians. What do you think?
Well, absolutely, it will be. It will be world news because it's going to be the invasion of Israel by the world government armies, by the United Nations, if the UN is still called the United Nations by that time. Nevertheless, it's going to be world news. And the scripture you referred to, David, in case any of our other listeners want to look it up, it's 1 Thessalonians chapter number 5, and it starts in verse 1, and it says, "Brethren, you know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night." But then it says, "But you are not children of the night, that day should overtake you unawares. You are children of the day." So yes, the day of the Lord is coming as a thief in the night, only to those who live in darkness. But we are children of the day, not of the night, and that day will not take us unawares. So obviously it's going to be in the news anytime. If, let's say, tomorrow the United Nations was going to invade Israel, it would be totally covering the news worldwide. So yes, it will be in the news, no doubt about it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, David. And let's go now to Facebook. Clifford wants to know, how do you explain the 3 ribs in the bear's mouth in Daniel 7? Well, we know that the bear there represents Russia, and I'm not positive. I can tell you what the 3 ribs are. I think I know. There are 2 possibilities. Russia took 3 huge chunks of land away from China by means of 19th century treaties. Those 3 huge plots of land are Manchuria, Mongolia, and Xinjiang. Now, I'm not positive that's the answer. There's another possibility, because Russia, the Soviet Union, laid claim to the Baltic states after World War II. We're talking about Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And Russia held those until just recently. Could that be the three ribs in the mouth of the Russian bear? Don't know for sure which of those answers, if either one of them are true, but that's my best understanding. Thanks a lot, Clifford. We appreciate it. And now one more Facebook question from Christine. How long after the sacrifices resume in the third temple will the Antichrist be made manifest? Well, it's going to be very shortly, because the Bible teaches that when the final 7 years, when the peace agreement is signed, during the first 3.5 years, the temple will be built, and then the sacrifices will be resumed as Jews believe they are required to do, because they're still under the law. They do not believe that Jesus was their Messiah. Therefore, they will start offering animal sacrifices. Well, there'll be a lot of objection to that, and the Antichrist will cause the sacrifice and oblation to stop. So during the first 3.5 years, you've got to have the agreement, then you've got to have the temple being built. That may take a year and a half, and then they're going to start the sacrifices, and then finally the Antichrist will stop those sacrifices. So when he does that, he will say, you don't need these anymore. I'm your Messiah. I'm your God. And that will be the manifestation of the Antichrist. That will happen at the 3.5 year mark. So we know exactly where it's going to happen. Halfway through the final 7 years is when it's going to happen. That's when the Bible says, then shall that man of sin be revealed, who exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, claiming to be God. Let's go now to Jim in the truck calling us again today. Hello, Jim.
Hey, praise the Lord. Irvin, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. What's on your mind today, Jim?
Well, I was thinking about that gentleman, that media fake news guy from Newsweek, and, he has no idea what he's doing. He's being used as a puppet on strings for the enemy, because the enemy knows how important your show is. Your show it's just hit me today how unbelievably huge it is. You got truth. There's another gentleman I was listening to on YouTube today, and he's got everything you got. He talks about the third temple being built. He talks about Trump's peace deal, the deal of the century. It sounds like he's going to just continue on, but then he goes, but we're not going to have to worry when the 7-year tribulation comes, because we're not going to be here. Now, irregardless, even though that's error and a mistake, irregardless, it would be much better to be like us, being ready and being able to explain it now than just finding out at the last minute, because I believe that what's going to happen is once they see the temple being built in the first 3.5 years, I believe that they'll be able to get in, but it'll be a shock. So what do you think about all that? But I'm telling you, I love the show. I love everything you've done. God is blessing you because of your dedication, but tell me what you think about all that.
Well, thank you, Jim. And, the gentleman who's talking, he may well be a sincere individual, but the minute he talks about a 7-year tribulation, I know that he has a horrible misunderstanding, because there's not one scripture in the entire Bible that refers to a 7-year tribulation. It's amazing to me that we have commentary upon commentary upon commentary about Bible prophecy and about the book of Revelation, and they all talk about this 7-year great tribulation, and yet there's not one scripture in the entire Bible that talks about a 7-year tribulation. Now, there is a reference to a 7-year period called Daniel's 70th week, but the Bible is crystal clear that the Great Tribulation does not begin until halfway through this 7-year period. There are 6 specific references to the Great Tribulation being 3.5 years. Daniel 7:25 says the Antichrist will persecute the saints and make war against them for time, times, and half a time. A time is 1 year, times is 2 years, half a time is half a year. Now, if you doubt that, go to Revelation chapter number 13, verse number 5. There it says that he will make war against the saints and overcome them for 42 months. That's verse 5 through 7. and it tells you specifically 42 months. Well, 42 months and 3.5 years is the exact same time, and that's the time the Antichrist will perpetrate the Great Tribulation against God's people. So we have reference after reference after reference that say the Great Tribulation is 3.5 years. So when a person tells me a 7-year tribulation, I can tell that their knowledge of the Bible prophecy is somewhat deficient, because the Bible does not talk about a 7-year tribulation whatsoever. And you know, when people say, we don't have to deal with these things, we're not going to be here, it's amazing to me that God put all this information in the Bible because we weren't going to be here. I mean, why waste all of this time? And why would people be able to say, oh, we don't need this part of the Bible, let's just forget this part of the Bible?
It's amazing. It's just amazing. I'm telling you what, you got the White House, you got the Kremlin, you got, Parliament in London. But you know what you're doing, and you're blessed, and you're a humble man. You're an end-time major prophet, and I call you Elijah, and Dave's like Elisha. I'm telling you right now, man, this is exciting. I can't hardly stand it. It's just, we're going places, and you're helping by being God's servant, and what people need to do is, the Bible says, by the foolishness of preaching, men are saved. So you're doing a great job. Don't ever forget how much I appreciate it, and I know other people out there do too.
Well, Jim,
Jesus bless you, sir.
It's very kind of you to say those things. We're simply doing what God has called us to do, and we're not I'm not interested in making fun of anyone else or trying to denigrate other people. We're here to tell the truth. And I would say to all of you out there, this is the end of our year, and we do need your support to stay on the air. And if you're thinking about a special end of the year gift, maybe you need to move your taxes into a different bracket or whatever you want to do. But if you would, please remember Endtime Ministries. We can certainly use your support. We want to blast into the next year with great force and great power. Call us, 800 Endtime is the number.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter. This book by Irvin's grandson provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your relationship with God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at Endtime will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Get your book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for Endtime magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. Endtime has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that Endtime magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and leave them in doctor's offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
Before we get back to our callers, by the way, if you'd like to be on the air with me, the number to call is 877-END-TIME. That's 877-363-8463. We do have some open lines right now, so right now would be a really good time to jump in. Before we go back to our callers, however, let me take just a moment because we have a lot of inquiries, especially this time of the year. Would you accept a donation of stocks? Would you accept a donation of bonds? And the answer is absolutely. And, you know, this has been a banner year for the economy, and a lot of stocks have gone up by 20, 30, 40%. And a lot of people would like to give a significant gift to really help fund the ministry during the next year, but they may not have the liquid assets. Well, here's what you can do. Let's say you own a stock and you would like to donate all or part of it. You can call us here at Endtime Ministries, 1-800-ENDTIME. Ask to speak to my daughter, Jana, or you can speak to Adrian, her assistant, and they'll tell you exactly what to do. Now, here's the advantage. Let's say you bought a stock at $10,000, but maybe it's gone up to $20,000. Well, you can donate that stock, and we will give you a tax receipt for donating $20,000. It didn't cost you $20,000. Furthermore, on the gains, you pay no tax. Instead, you gift the whole thing to us, and since we're a nonprofit, we don't have to pay the tax on it. So we get the advantage of the $20,000 donation. You get the advantage of the $20,000 tax receipt, so it can help lower your tax bill going into the new year, but you must do it before December the 31st in order for that to be true. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that information. A lot of people don't realize what a wonderful way that is to donate to your favorite charity. So if you're out there and God's blessed you this year, we need to really blast off. Probably 2020 is going to be the most eventual, the most impacting year prophetically that maybe we've ever seen in my lifetime so far. So it's going to be a big, big deal, and we need to be financially strong where we can really put the pedal on the floorboard and really go for Jesus Christ. So if you'd like to do something special like that, give us a call. The number to call is 1-800-ENDTIME, or if you'd like to simply donate on our website, just go to the website, endtime.com, and there you'll see what you can do. But to all of you that have done that through the year, I want to stop and thank all of our supporters, all of our partners. You are fabulous. Every morning in our prayer time here at Endtime Ministries, we read the names of 20 partners. And we try to get, hopefully by the rotation, we'll end up getting to all of our partners so that we take time as a staff here to pray for our partner, because you're the ones that keeps this ministry funded and going. And I see names that I really don't know who they are, but I think, look at these wonderful people. They're giving out of the generosity of their heart because they want the message that the end time is now to be propagated throughout the world. And so when I see these things happening, I sometimes have tears come to my eyes when I think about people that I may not even know them. I wouldn't know them if I saw them. And yet here they are, just out of the goodness of their heart and their love for God and for His kingdom, sending contributions. Many people do it monthly. And so to all of you that are our faithful supporters, let me just stop here at the last month of the year to say thank you. The words thank you seem inadequate, but it's the best I can do. Just thank you so very much for your faithful support, and you enable us here at Endtime Ministries, myself, Dave Robbins, and our entire staff to continue the work. And it's not getting less important. I mean, it is getting exponentially more important. So thank you very much. Well, I got to get back to the phones, but let's go right now to a Facebook caller. Christina wants to know, can you give an update on the Israeli government? I can. There are 5 days left. By the 11th of December, they have to negotiate a coalition, or else they go into a new election cycle. Now, the next election will be held either latter February or early March. So that means, what are we talking about, 4 or 5 months from now. In the meantime, Netanyahu would continue to serve as the prime minister of Israel in a caretaker capacity, but yet he wouldn't be able to do some of the strong initiatives that he would like to do. So I cannot tell you today, we got 5 days to wait. I cannot tell you today what's going to happen. Netanyahu could form a government with the blue and white party, and he has said today that he's willing to serve for the first 6 months and then turn it over to Benny Gantz to serve for the next year and a half, while the indictments against Prime Minister Netanyahu, while he has his trial, he believes he can prove himself innocent. And then if he is proven innocent, he would come back and serve the last year and 1/2. Now, that's the way the thing is set up right now. There's another possibility, however, if, in fact, Avigdor Lieberman would change his mind and decide to form a narrow government with Netanyahu, they would have 63 votes in the Israeli Knesset. Then Netanyahu could serve for the entire 4 years, or else he could maybe make a deal with Lieberman and say, I'll serve for 6 months, you serve for the next year and a half, and then I'll be back. That could happen. Or Netanyahu could ask the members of the Knesset to vote for him to have immunity. That's one of the possibilities provided in Israeli law, that if the Knesset wants to vote that he is immune from prosecution as long as he is the prime minister, that means that he wouldn't have to worry about things for the next 4 years. And then if he ran again later and was elected again, he again would be immune until after his term in the prime ministership was over. Now, I know I'm throwing quite a bit at you here, but you ask about the update on the government. The next 5 days are going to be crucial. The 11th of December is the deadline. I cannot tell you today what's going to happen. Most people think we should not have new elections in Israel. They think Israel's already been without legitimate government since April the 9th. And here we are going into the month of December and still don't have a legitimate government. And so it will be almost a year now. And there's so much pending. There's Donald Trump's peace plan. There is this possibility of this non-aggression pact, or this mutual defense pact with the nation of the United States. And there's also another possibility of a peace deal pending with Hamas. It looks like it's coming down the pike right now. So it looks like Israel does not need a caretaker government. They need a duly elected government. We simply don't know today, but we don't have long to wait, because we have simply 5 days left. So by next week, what is that, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to know the answer to all those questions. Thank you very much for that inquiry, Christine. Another question from Facebook. Carolyn wants to know, will the Antichrist be Jewish? Well, I don't think he will be, because the Antichrist is going to invade Israel at the Battle of Armageddon. Why would a Jew invade the nation of Israel to try to destroy it? Now, maybe he will be an apostate Jew. However, some people have argued that the Antichrist must be Jewish in order for the Jews to accept him as the Messiah. The Jews are not going to accept him as the Messiah. They are going to resist him all during the final 3.5 years. Now, there may be some apostate Jews, some ultra-liberal Jews that would accept the Antichrist and actually be against their own people, but most likely he will not be Jewish. If he is, he's going to be a European Jew, because the Antichrist is definitely coming out of Europe. The Bible tells us that. So that's the best I can tell you. Nevertheless, the Jewish people, by and large, in Israel are going to resist the Antichrist and will not cooperate with him. As a matter of fact, he's ultimately going to invade Israel, and that will precipitate the Battle of Armageddon. Thank you very much for that, Carolyn. And let's go to Cheryl, calling from right here in Texas. Hello, Cheryl.
Hello. Thank you, Pastor Baxter, for sharing your wisdom. I've been truly blessed by the Jerusalem Prophecy College and your radio show.
Thank you.
My question today is related to Revelation 9:15. But before I ask, I would like for you to help me understand Revelation 7 and 8 regarding the first and second trumpets and their relationship to World War I and World War II.
Well, the easiest way to understand that, we know for certain that the third trumpet was Chernobyl, because Chernobyl is the Russian word, the Ukrainian word for wormwood. So it's easy to see there, because the Bible says a star by the name of wormwood. And you know, it's really fascinating. I opened up Time magazine several years after Chernobyl, and the president of Russia, Medvedev, was visiting Chernobyl on the anniversary of this event. And what I saw shocked me. I saw over his shoulder an angel blowing a trumpet. I couldn't believe my eyes. Somehow, some way, somebody has believed that the Chernobyl nuclear accident actually was the third trumpet sounding, and they've got an angel standing there with a trumpet. Right now, I have the picture of it. It's amazing. Well, anyway, so that was definitely the third trumpet. So if you back up, it says under the second trumpet, that a third of the ships were destroyed. And when I saw that, I thought, wait, that's never happened. But then one day I began to think about the magnitude of World War II and the fact that 52 million people died. And it was a horrible war, the worst war the world's ever known. And I thought, I wonder how many ships fought during World War II, and I wonder how many of them were sunk. So I asked my research assistant to go to the library. She did and came back a few days later. She laid the information on my desk, and it said, I'm going from memory now, it said 105,127 ships participated in World War II, and 36,000 of them were sunk. And I looked at that and I thought, wait, 36,000 is just about 1/3 of 105,000. So I looked at it and I said, Kathy, I didn't ask you to cook the books. I asked you to give me the facts. She said, no, honest, I had the librarian help me. This is it. Well, then it says under the second trumpet that I saw a great star fall from heaven, and the waters, I'm trying to remember now anyway, it said there's a great star fall from heaven, and a great mountain, there it is, a great mountain as it were burning with fire. Well, I saw a picture of an atomic explosion one day, and it looks like a huge mountain burning with fire. And I looked at that and I thought, wait, that's what the prophecy says. 1/3 of the ships were destroyed. There was a great mountain burning with fire. The first nuclear bomb ever dropped on the human race was dropped under World War II. I came to the conclusion that World War II was in fact the second trumpet. Then back to the first trumpet, it talks about the grass and the trees were all burnt up. And I remember in school them teaching us about the scorched earth policy that was followed during World War I. That's when the French and the Germans were in such bitter battle. It was the beginning of germ warfare. It was horrible what some of those men went through during that war. Anyway, when I looked at all the factors, it just made sense to me that World War I was the first trumpet, World War II was the second trumpet, and then Chernobyl was the third trumpet. That's the way I understand the scriptures, Cheryl.
So I guess my question then is there a possibility for Revelation 9:15, when it talks about a third of mankind, could it just be, instead of a third of mankind on the whole world, to just be a third associated with where that war is taking place?
Cheryl, I hear we're up against a break. I'll answer that question as soon as we get back from this break. You're listening to End of the Age, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Does the book of Revelation frighten you? Do its symbols confuse you? For centuries, the book of Revelation has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. In Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ, Volume 1, Irvin Baxter unlocks the mystery of the book of Revelation with in-depth analysis and commentary like you've never heard before. This 10-part definitive DVD series and 268-page comprehensive commentary book covers the first 12 chapters of the book of Revelation, featuring on-location photography, classic artwork, and symbolic illustrations. You'll walk away with complete understanding and peace about the events happening during the final years on Earth. These comprehensive study tools, available for $299, will deepen your biblical understanding as you dig into the original intent of the book, answering the mysterious prophecies and symbols of the book of Revelation. Don't miss this special offer. Call now, 1-800-END-TIME, or go to endtime.com to order. Call or go online now to get this comprehensive Bible study.
Don't forget that Revelation commentary that was just offered will be the ultimate Christmas gift. I promise you. Well, you ought to see it. It's gorgeous. Anyway, we're very thankful for it here at Endtime Ministries. If you're interested, call us 800-END-TIME. Now back to Cheryl. She wanted to know in verse 15 of chapter 9, talking about the sixth trumpet, when it says 1/3 part of mankind was killed. Now the King James says 1/3 part of men were killed. So trying to get a better understanding, I went to the Revised King James, and it said 1/3 part of mankind. Well, because I was thinking 1/3 of everybody on earth, that's almost inconceivable. So I went to other translations, and every translation I went to, it got worse. The next one I came to said 1/3 of all the human beings on earth will be killed. And so, Cheryl, after wrestling with this thing back and forth, I finally had to conclude that it simply means what it says. When it says 1/3 of mankind, or 1/3 of all the human beings upon the earth, it looks like to me now, if it means something different, I'm fine with that. But from everything I can research, and I checked about 20 different translations, it just seems like every one of them say 1/3 of all the people upon the earth will be killed. So if it's different than that, I would welcome it. But from all I can see, it literally means 1/3 of the human beings on the face of the earth.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it so much. Let's go now to Greg calling from North Carolina. Hello, Greg.
Hello. Looks like a bunch of questions on the Trumps today, and I'm just going to fall right in line with that.
Very good.
It looks, when I reading chapter 8, verse 1, when the seventh seal is open.
Yes.
So all these 7 trumpets come from the seventh seal. Is that correct?
I don't believe that is correct, Greg.
No?
There are a lot of people who believe that, but I do not believe that at all, because the seventh seal is the rapture. That's when there's 30 minutes of silence in heaven. And then if you'll notice, the last of the seventh seal is verse 5, when it says, and there were voices and thunderings and earthquakes. That verse is repeated at the seventh seal, the seventh trumpet, and the seventh vial. So a lot of people, when it says, and I saw the 7 angels as they prepared to sound, that's in verse 2 of chapter 8. But they didn't actually sound until verse 6, after the ending of the account of the seventh seal. So then it starts the 7 trumpets all over again. So the rapture, the second coming, happens at the seventh seal. Then you start back with the 7 trumpets. So you're back to World War I, World War II, Chernobyl, and the 1991 Gulf War, all down through it. And then you get to the last of the trumpets, verse number 15 of chapter 11. It says, and when the 7th trumpet sounded, I heard a voice saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ. And that, of course, is when Jesus comes to establish his kingdom. And then 4 verses later, verse 19, it says, and there were voices and thunderings and earthquakes and great hail. So I do not believe that the 7 trumpets are all contained in the 7th seal at all. I just think...
I was having trouble understanding that also, because I didn't think we had the 7th seal opened yet. And I was like, well, but we've got trumpets since the 1914, the first one, and then, so I was kind of confused on that. But that makes a lot of sense there. What seal do you think we are in? 4th or 5th?
Yes, I believe we're probably in the 4th one. We're not in the 5th one yet, because the 5th one is the Great Tribulation. The souls under the altar are crying out, how long, O Lord, till thou dost avenge our blood upon those that dwell upon the earth? And the Lord said, just wait a little season until your brethren will be killed like you were. It talks about some of the Christians that will die during the Great Tribulation. So right now, we're in the time of the 4th trumpet, which is Islam. Islam is very dominant right now. We're continually fighting this war on terrorism. Well, then... So that means we're pretty close to the beginning of the Great Tribulation, but I think we're in the 4th seal right now.
Okay, that about falls in line. Thanks for clearing that up with me.
Okay, well, thank you, Greg. All this is so interesting. Appreciate all these good phone calls. Let's go now. Let's go to Pat calling from Michigan. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Dr. Baxter. Speaking of Trump, this would be President Trump I'm referring to. When I saw him walk away from NATO meeting early, all alone, my mind quickly went to the isolation that has to happen for the United States, the Great Eagle. I just wanted your comment on that.
Well, Pat, you're absolutely right. Of course, I was following that news closely because the Bible prophesies that the powers of Europe, speaking of Great Britain, of Germany, of Russia, and the other 10-nation alliance of Europe. They're all going to be a part of the kingdom of the Antichrist, but America is not part of it. And we can already see the alienation that is taking place. And President Trump has been insisting that the countries of Europe pay their fair share. They promised to pay 2% of their gross domestic product each year to NATO. Well, a few of them have done it, but most of them have not. And because he presses them, they resent the fact that he presses them, and he's so upfront with it, you know. Of course, he's got a right to, because they promised to do it. And if they don't do it, it puts the extra load on the United States. Well, anyway, it has resulted, and especially Macron does not want to be under the influence of America or President Trump. He's already started this new military alliance called the European Intervention Initiative. And now then they have, I think they're now up to 13 or 14 members in that alliance. So they're trying to produce a substitute for NATO right now because they do not want America to dominate Europe. So you're absolutely right, Pat. We are witnessing the last 2 days what the prophecy says is actually going to happen.
Just awesome to see the Lord unfold these things and give us a heads up prior to it happening.
And isn't it a blessing that we're able to understand it? Because if we didn't understand it, we might be filled with confusion, and we might regret what's happening. A lot of people in America are criticizing President Trump horribly because they say he's wrecking NATO. But the fact is, right now, he's taking us away from the kingdom of the Antichrist, and we're going to support Israel against the Antichrist. That's exactly where I want America to be.
Amen. I'm with you, Brother Baxter.
Well, thank you very much, Pat. That's exciting.
Thank you.
All right, let's go now to Dave calling from Ohio. Hello, Dave.
Yes, how are you, Pastor Baxter?
Oh, I'm doing terrific. Thank you.
Wonderful. I wanted to tell you that I watch your programs all the time, and Dave Robbins, and what an inspiration they are, because they have brought me, I'm a born-again Christian. They brought me closer to the Bible and the understanding of what's in the Bible. And it also put me in a position where my wife and I, we were able to use this prophecies and information in the Bible to get her sister saved.
Terrific.
And I have two questions for you.
All right.
One is, it's told that the Antichrist is going to come out. He's not going to be part of the 10 nations, but he's going to come out of that group. And he's going to be the one that seals the covenant for 7 years. But then I've heard that it says that in the beginning of the tribulation, the final 3.5 years, that the Antichrist is going to be revealed. I would like for you to comment on that before I ask my second question.
Yes, well, you're absolutely right. The scriptures do say that the Antichrist will come up among the 10 horns, the 10 kings, and uproot 3 of them. And then they will end up supporting him, because if you get to Revelation chapter number 17, it says that these 10 kings will give their power and strength unto the beast, the Antichrist, for 3.5 years. So he will come up among them, but he will not be adversary to them. Instead, they are going to put their influence behind him, and they will actually become his power base. Now, the Bible does say the Antichrist will confirm the covenant, means he will confirm Israel's right to exist in the Holy Land for the 7-year period. But yet, it also states that he will not be revealed, appears to state in 2 Thessalonians chapter number 2, it says, that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God, claiming to be God. Now, it does not explicitly say that he will be revealed exactly when he stands in the temple, if you'll read the passage carefully. But at the same time, he will be definitely a part of the peace deal. And the Bible says he will confirm the covenant with many. That means there's going to be many players. And we can see that developing right now.
Absolutely.
This past week, there was a person in our State Department that visited 4 of the Arab countries, asking them for a declaration of non-belligerence with Israel. And Kushner and Greenblatt have been working on this for a long time. So all the Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, I noticed we just reestablished diplomatic relations with Sudan yesterday. Jordan, Egypt, they're all supporting this effort. So when the Bible says the Antichrist will confirm the covenant with many, there's going to be a lot of factors. So we may not be able to put our finger on who the Antichrist actually is. He will merely be one of the many that will be confirming this deal. That's the best I can tell you.
Sure. Okay, because I watch a lot of that. With your program, it's made me more aware of the circumstances that are going on over there. My other question is, when it talks about that when Jesus comes and he destroys the Antichrist and puts him into the lake of fire with the false prophet, that during this 1,000 years of millennium, that he's going to rule. And who are these people that are going to be, because it says that he's going to destroy all the armies and the people that have taken the sign of the beast. And so who are these people that are going to be on the earth during that 1,000 years before he destroys the earth?
Let me answer quickly because I'm about out of time.
Sure.
In Daniel chapter 7, verse number 11, it says that the Antichrist will be destroyed and given to the burning flame. Then it says in verse 12, as concerning the rest of the beasts, and remember, beasts are nations. As concerning the rest of the nations, they have their dominion taken away, yet their lives are prolonged. So at the same time the Antichrist is destroyed, the other nations, their lives will be prolonged into the millennial reign. And they will be living here upon the earth at that time. Now, I cannot tell you there will be many people destroyed at the Battle of Armageddon, but most people will not be at the Battle of Armageddon. They'll be back in their home countries. Their armies will be there, some of them. So that's the best I can tell you. Now, there's another possibility. People below the age of 20 were not held accountable when Israel did not go into the Promised Land. And it could be that God will use that as well. That's the best I could tell you.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.